Hey everyone, and welcome back to my Completionist Baldur's Gate Saga playthrough with SCS. Now, in this episode we really need to wrap up some of the last remaining quests in the Baldur's Gate city, and then we'll be able to progress the main story a little bit. But first let me deal a little bit of management. Like, one thing I forgot to use, for example, is this Tome of Quickness or whatever, the Tome of Dexterity. Now that that is used, Kirinai's dexterity has gone up to 19. That means that she got a bonus to Thaco, a bonus of 1, and then in Baldur's Gate 2, when she dual classes into a thief, she's going to get some thieving skill bonuses from that additional point of dexterity. Alright, we really need to do an identification session and sell all this junk. But anyway, our first order of business here, let's travel to the central area and inform Nadine that we delivered that amulet to her son, Uric. And she's thankful, and she gives us a different amulet, yet another necklace of missiles. Which now we have plenty of. Oh, actually, what am I can just leave through here. Right, next thing is something that, you know, you'd probably never do because we have this Helm of Balduran, right? A very powerful helmet that we've procured for Degradel. But of course, having that kind of item in our possession, you would probably not want to give it back to him. But you'll see that there's a little twist here. Jahira, come on. You are really being not too smart here. Alright, I'm just going to leave Imoen still invisible and away from this this fight, because yeah, there is going to be a fight here. I'm going to give Yeslik a nice little potion of strength. That gives him 19 strength, so now he has some serious Thacoan damage. I'm going to be doing that more often, I think. Now, Jahira, I think you also will get, instead of this belt, you're going to get the slashing belt. Alright, anyway. Oh yeah, and you know what? We might actually swap Koran's arrows to something a little bit better. And now when we talk to Degradel, he thanks us for the Helm of Balduran and pretty much betrays us. That he's going to attempt to leave, and he's going to summon more of his servants. The Doom Guards, Helmed Horrors, and I think there's going to be one Invisible Stalker. So before he gets away, we can actually attack him and hopefully kill him. This is a little bit of a less satisfying way of concluding our business with Degradel, I think. The more satisfying, I think, is to not even start business or doing business with Degradel. It's probably best to just, when you first approach him, just tell him that, you know, you want to die or threaten him. And then he's going to summon these guys and also fight in the, or take part in the fight himself. So that, you know, he receives the pre-buffs from SCS and there's just a high-level SCS mage. Plus you have these guys to deal with. And it's, you know, a little bit more satisfying than him just trying to run away. And, you know, us just trying to kill him before he gets away. Alright, so Yeslik is not going to catch up to him. But hopefully we can block his escape route with Jahira. Alright. So he is done. And Yeslik without a helmet here. Anyway. Now these Hound Horrors and Doom Guards, like I mentioned the previous time when we engaged them, they are 100% resistant to missile damage. So we're going to carefully approach, I think, only with Kirinai. Oh, you know what, maybe with Koran as well, in melee. So they can attack these less dangerous Helmed Horrors, while our prominent melee guys, like Senashira primarily, and Jahira and Yeslik, deal with the Doom Guards. Alright, seems like everyone wants to deal with the Doom Guards. The Doom Guard that's left. I think there should also be an Invisible Stalker. Oh yeah, so there was one Helmed Horror and one Invisible Stalker here, revealed itself. Or himself. Yeah, I apologize for that. A real tendency normally to like hum a lot of music. Anyway, we get a nice potion of invulnerability. We get our Helm of Baldur back. So take that, Yeslik. You know what? I think I'm going to put this cloak on Senashira. There's basically, you know, I've been known to just like put all the good stuff on my protagonist many times in the past. Now I try to distribute the loot a little bit in a different way, where it's, you know, where it's the most beneficial, not just beneficial to my main character. And there's a splint mail +1 there. But yeah, I think Senashira is going to have that cloak, and basically all of the stackable kind of armor class bonuses we can put on her, and this could go on Kirinai actually. Alright, now we have another mage to deal with. But first, here in the 3 old kegs, let's inform Ariana that we got rid of Serdimac, the person who was blackmailing her.
Indeed. It is done.
Well, I never.
Yeah, he's dead, and as I mentioned before, you can kind of pick up where he left off and start blackmailing her yourself, or you can just end it here. Yeah, our business is concluded, so I trust you will withdraw as soon as possible. I wouldn't... It would not do for me to be seen consorting with a known killer.
Your concern?
Yep. Anyway.
Your servant awaits.
Oh, this is a pretty cool conversation between Jaheira and Yeslik, because they are both multi-classes. They are both, you know, fighter priest, either fighter cleric as Yeslik is, or fighter druid, and they basically talk about the advantages and disadvantages of, you know, taking some time to progress in the fighter arts, I guess. And she's going to be talking about like, you know, the advantage of being a druid who is able to wear plate armor here, for example. Yeah, but Yeslik is going to like conclude that, you know, he's not as proficient as a cleric because of his fighter training and whatnot, but actually in Baldur's Gate 1 multi-classes are so powerful because of the experience cap in Baldur's Gate 1 and how the leveling curve is set up on these lower levels. Multi-classes generally are just 1 level lower than pure classes. So it's really cool. I mean, multi-classes are generally powerful in Baldur's Gate as well, but in Baldur's Gate they are going to be, you know, a good few levels lower than pure classes. Alright, so here we want to also pay a visit to Ramazith, although of course we didn't finish his quest, and he's going to know about that already. You need not say that you have betrayed me, for I scry and spy. Yeah, because we of course freed that nymph Abella instead of bringing her over to his home here. Now I am going to buff Senashira a little bit with the shield amulet here. Nothing too crazy. And even the shield amulet itself, with all these like buffs, stackable buffs from, you know, the Claw of Khaz'goroth, the Cloak of Balduran, and with that Gorian's amulet, she's already at like -6 just with the shield amulet buff. So that's pretty nice. Maybe I shouldn't really put the Cloak of Balduran on her, but I mean, is there a better person than our protagonist to be wearing such a cloak? I don't know, I'm not sure. Anyway, I think we're going to just approach with these 3. And kind of a weird thing about Ramazith's tower is that he actually has the most powerful monsters appearing first. There's going to be a couple of levels of this tower that we're going to ascend through, and basically as we go on higher and higher, the monsters are going to become easier and easier instead of the other way around. You would think that, you know, as you go higher up the tower, closer to his quarters, the monsters would become you know, stronger. But first we have these 2 mustard jellies, which are the toughest here. Then we have... Actually, we could bring over the other guys to help with some range damage here. But yeah, then we have like ghasts.
Yes.
And later there's going to be like hobgoblins and then kobolds. You basically just
Your concern? Yes.
encounter weaker and weaker guys as you go on. We're also going to have to do some selling. Whoops. Alright. And last level before Ramazith himself.
I am. It is done.
This would be a good place for a home.
Oh, she got critically hit, or what? Yeah, for 16 and poisoned. But we have these antidotes on hand. Alright. It's still 16 damage though.
Nature's servant
Yes.
awaits.
Indeed.
Come on, attack him. I'll be a pacifist here. Boom, 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 yeah!
I am certain.
Blood all over us.
What?
You can feel that you're alive when you have... we're covered in blood by of your enemies.
Yes.
And of course, as usual, I don't even know what I'm saying, but... Anyway, let's be prepared with the Greenstone Amulet here, and we're just going to head on in with Senashira only, I think, to see what's... Oh yeah, it's not Ramazith.
It is done.
I mentioned the kobolds. Ramazith is not yet here. He's on the next level. Right, we can pick up some of these arrows of fire, but like at this point I usually don't bother, but here they are pretty easy to loot, so might as well.
Is what? A simple
Your
matter.
concern?
No,
Yes,
that's-
certainly.
That messed up my looting, your entrance there, guys. Okay, now we're going to only approach with Senashira, I think, and let's just heal her a little bit. Wait a couple of seconds, so she can activate her Greenstone Amulet if she needs to.
I am here.
'Cause I just want to see what kind of protection and what
Your concern?
Ramazith has to offer, because similarly to the Shadow Druid quarters in that treehouse, his battlefield, I guess, is problematic in a similar sense, where you're just stuck in this really small room, so like any AoE spell is basically going to affect everyone. Right, anyway, let's see what Ramazith has up his sleeve.
Certainly.
What cool spell he's got cooked up. Right, it seems like he doesn't actually have many protections at all. He has Minor Globe and Stone Skin, Ghost Armor to improve his armor class, and Shield, but he doesn't have Mirror Images, so let's try that. We didn't interrupt his spell. So let's buff up with the Greenstone Amulet, I guess. Just in time, dude. Just in time there. Alright, Chaos failed. Now actually let us go up with a couple of more people after this spell has been fired.
What is it?
Let's add some damage.
Nature's servant
Let's have this wand prepared, and Imoen actually is going to cast this Emotion Hopelessness that she has been... she had memorized for all this time. Because that is a level 4 spell, and as you can see it worked on him. Now he's unconscious, we don't even need to use the Wand of the Heavens. And now he's just lying unconscious there and taking a beating. Alright, that's pretty cool. And he is the last of the prominent mages of Baldur's Gate. As you could probably like notice, in Baldur's Gate there were quite a few like really prominent mages, and we pretty much killed almost all of them. All of them except Ragefast died by our hand. So there was of course Ramazith here that died. There was Degradel. There was Sunin, the mage with the Ring of Wizardry. There were also the two necromancers, Archeon and Nemphre, and there was Ragefast, the only survivor. Anyway, here we can loot a couple of things from... I would really prefer to have a little bit more free slots with Senashira.
Your
Because
concern.
here there's a couple of scrolls. And usually decent scrolls, blur, invisibility, and mirror image are all nice. And then from here we get the Tome of Intelligence, which is going to go to Senashira, of course, to make her intelligence 17, which is the minimum that we need to dual class her into mage once we're in Baldur's Gate 2 and she reaches level 9 in Kensai. Yes, and in this here desk there's a couple of things. There's a legit scroll of protection from magic there. Do you have something like that here, Yeslik? Oh, here's on the other floor.
As you will.
Alright, you just have, dude.
Yes, certainly.
We have no space whatsoever. Okay, anyway, now let's loot his body, because he has a very notable amulet there. This one, the Amplifier, or amulet of like meta spell influence, or however it's called. Basically, this amulet is going to give an additional memorization slot of level 2 for arcane casters. So that's really nice for Imoen. And I think in preparation for an upcoming fight I'm going to give her... Actually, you can cast one blur from a scroll and maybe have web prepared. Maybe we're going to use web in that encounter. I'm not sure. I'd rather use glitter dust, I think, so I'm going to keep that. And her protections are going to be very important. I think we have a couple of blur scrolls, so I might cast that from a scroll, I guess, to buff her up with that. And then he also has another very notable piece of loot, which is this Ring of Protection +2. So now Senashira is like a beast, and that's only with the Shield Amulet buff. And of course with a Potion of Defense or a Potion of Invulnerability, her armor class is going to be even better. She should be like -10 by now, I think. And of course we have no space whatsoever, so we need to use these bullets here. Bullets +1 and bullets of electricity on Jahiera. Alright, now it is really time
It is done. It is done.
to get out of here.
Indeed.
What are you?
I am here. Indeed.
Alright,
Indeed.
now there's only one quest to do, and that is to hunt some ank eggs for Fenton, just to get that kind of a quest out of our... yeah, everyone has a protection item, so we can get that ring out of there. Yeah, so we can get some like ank egg shells for him. So let's go to the farm area. Yeah, it's only like 4 hours of travel time, and already we are ambushed by ank eggs.
It is done.
And basically he's going to give you...
Yes?
I know that Senashira is encumbered, but I can't do anything right now about it. But basically the thing is that he's going to take however many ank egg shells you have on you and pay you 250 gold. But if you just, you know, like drop some ank egg shells on the ground and just keep giving him one at a time, you're going to get 250 every time for each ank egg shell. Unfortunately, I really do not have the space to be carrying any more of those because of these like really bad... Well, let's just drop these cursed scrolls. Why am I even carrying them? We can't really sell them. And now we're going to give some light stuff to Yeslik, and Jaheira is going to carry another ank egg shell, just to kind of demonstrate the whole thing. And we could go and like farm some more ank eggs for some more experience, I guess, because there would be a couple more probably that spawned. But that's enough. And now we need to go here. I've been ambushed by dogs.
Need only ask.
Dogs orchestrated some ambush.
Your concern.
Dogs are the kings of the animal kingdom, man. They are the dominators. Nothing can compare with a doggy. Anyway,
Indeed.
here's Fenton. And I'm just going to quick save, and if we talk to him, he's going to give us 250 gold, but we lost not only the ank egg shell from Senashira, but also the one from Jaheira. So if we quick load
Certainly.
and like drop this one on the ground, we get 250 here, and we get another 250 here.
Your concern?
Why are you encumbered, my dear?
I
Okay,
am here.
you're not anymore. Okay, now we need to go to this district and make some final preparations before we progress the main story, and that is going to involve going through the Iron Throne Tower. And there's an epic fight at the top of it. This music here is so epic, man.
Indeed.
Anyway, in order to get our preparations underway, we need to like identify all this stuff and sell a lot of the junk. So why am I here? We should rest first. And we're going to go to Sorcerer's Sundries in a second. Now we're going to probably rest like 2 times, just to identify all the stuff. And we're going to rework Imoen's spells. Because for that fight we're definitely going to use haste. And spell thrust, probably not so much. There's not going to be time for that. There's going to be 2 mages that they're going to have, and there's like surely not going to be time to do anything of that nature to them. We might go with slow here, or maybe remove magic to try to remove some of their buffs, because now we're slowly getting to kind of their levels, you know, like she's level 7, although most of the guys at the top of the Iron Throne Tower are going to be like level 9 to 12 actually, so that's still not a satisfactory level that Imoen has to really give us a good chance on remove magic. I think I'm just going to maybe keep spell thrust. If we need slow, I'm going to cast it from a scroll. We have a scroll, or do we? gonna have to check that in a second. But we will definitely rework the level 4 spell. Emotion Hopelessness worked nicely on Ramazith, but now we're going to need Minor Globe on Imoen, probably, to protect her from all the nasty stuff that they are going to be able to throw at her. And here we're just going to memorize a lot of identifications. We're going to identify all this nice loot that we've acquired over the last couple of episodes. We're going to treat ourselves and rest in a royal room. Alright, so now we have another Wand of Paralyzation with also 12 charges. Now we have a Wand of Lightning with 13 instead of 4. And I'm probably going to just sell this one, because I'm not going to use 13 lightning bolts before the game is done, most likely. And these 4 charges don't really matter all that much. So here, this Wand of Polymorphing, I've said that it's really good, because it really is. Although the save versus Wand, there's no penalties to the target or anything like in the Wand of Paralyzation. But if this lands, this basically polymorphs a target to a creature, a squirrel, that has 6 HP only, and has like 3 strength and 3 dexterity, and it's really easy to finish off. And unlike similar kind of instant death spells, because this is essentially like instant death almost, unlike those spells, you actually do retain the loot. So for example, if you use Disintegrate in Baldur's Gate 2, or if you use like Flesh to Stone and stuff like that, you lose the loot. So there is a trade-off for these spells. But for this one, there is no trade-off. You just polymorph them into a squirrel, they die in 1 hit, and that's it. You have all the loot with you, everything's fine. So this is a very powerful wand. You can just drop this bow, this normal short bow. So yeah, Amulet of Metaspell Influence, the Amplifier, 1 extra 2nd level arcane memorization slot there. And that's really, really nice. And I'm going to just identify everything. And if there are any cursed scrolls... Oh yeah, this is a legit protection from magic from Ramazith. Thank you, Ramazith. Yeah, Tome of Intelligence. So we're going to use that on Seneschar immediately. Now she has 17, which is exactly what we need. Yeah, another Amulet of Missiles. I'm going to keep that one. Hold on to that. Yeah, another wand of paralyzation.
I got some cheap beer for ya.
And some adventurer's robes. This one has 9 charges. I'm going to sell that one as well. We're not going to use more than 24 charges of that. No, that's a Tome of Wisdom there. Yeah, Amulet +1. I'm going to hold on to it unless we like rework our protection items, because right now everyone has one. But for example, oh, that's right. This ring. I should probably give it to Yeslik right now because, well, Yeslik is... Okay, once Yeslik gets access to level 4 spells, that's where I'm going to switch out the ring to him, I think. Now it might be good to have Jaheira with that ring. So yeah, this is a Tome of Wisdom, and I also wanted to take a second to talk about the strategy that you can use when it comes to using tomes on your party members. So usually it is the case that you would use all of the tomes pretty much on your main character, or you know, in our case we basically have like 2 characters that are going to be exported into Baldur's Gate 2. So that's why we used like that Tome of Dexterity on and the Tome of Constitution on Kirinai to increase her stats. But you know, normally you'd have one protagonist, and you'd probably use all of the tomes on your protagonist because that's the only character that gets exported into Baldur's Gate 2 and retains their Baldur's Gate 1 stats. And when it comes to characters that recruitable characters that show up in both games, like Jaheira, no matter what you do with Jaheira's stats, she's going to, of course, get her Baldur's Gate 2 stats once you go into Baldur's Gate 2. And so that's basically one strategy, is to use all of the tomes on your main character, even if they're not that useful, because, you know, they are going to have a benefit for the whole saga, for the whole playthrough if you do that. Whereas if we use like Tomes of Wisdom on probably Yeslik, you know, he's going to get the benefit for Baldur's Gate 1, but of course they're going to kind of be like, you know, quote unquote wasted when it comes to the whole saga, because, you know, he's not even in Baldur's Gate 2. So I guess if we use the 3 Tomes of Wisdom on Jaheira, of course in Baldur's Gate 2 she's back to 14 Wisdom. One thing that I've been I like to do, but I'm not going to do in this playthrough, I think. Normally when I play alone, when I play by myself, I basically use the tomes on like someone who also shows up in Baldur's Gate 2, and once Baldur's Gate 2 hits, I just edit their stats to reflect the Tomes of Wisdom that I used on there. So for example, I would use the 3 Tomes of Wisdom on Jaheira to bring her Wisdom up to 17, and then once Baldur's Gate 2 starts, I would just edit her Wisdom to 17. And that would be that, you know, to have some consistency, to reflect our choices in Baldur's Gate 1. But of course, yeah, but I don't want to do like too many like editing and stuff like that, so it's not really a big deal. I think I'm going to use all of the Tomes of Wisdom on Senashira. She bringing her Wisdom up to 13, because there's 3 Tomes of Wisdom in Baldur's Gate 1, is not going to do anything. She's going to be able, with that increase, she's going to be able to lose 1 Wisdom at a certain point where you have a choice of what stat you want to lose. So I'm going to choose Wisdom there. And of course, because of that, she's still going to have 12 Wisdom. So she's not going to have a lore penalty that comes when you go down to 9. When you go down to 9, she would get like a one-time -10 lore. And in Baldur's Gate 1, once she becomes a mage, she's going to be kind of a pretty decent lore character, I guess. So, you know, like I said, none of it is a big deal at all. These Tomes of Wisdom aren't really that important. Like, having 17 Wisdom on Jaheira would give her some bonus slots on spell levels that aren't even that great for Druid. So, it doesn't even matter all that much. But just wanted to say that, you know, you can either like dump all of your tomes on your main character, or even like having in mind that you would only have the benefit in Baldur's Gate 1, you can distribute the tomes. That's the second kind of strategy, where you distribute the tomes between people who will just benefit the most out of them. So that would, you know, involve probably Yeslik getting the Tomes of Wisdom, and you know, since they don't really matter for Senashira, I could do like 1 Tome of Wisdom on her to bring her Wisdom to 11, so that when she loses that 1 point in Baldur's Gate 2, she goes down to 10, and then I could give 2 to Yeslik, so he has like 18 Wisdom in Baldur's Gate 1. Oh, we'll see. I think I'm going to most definitely use this Tome of Wisdom on Senashira, and maybe I'll reconsider for the other two. Maybe I'm going to give them to Yeslik or someone. Alright, now we have some more stuff to identify. Well, let's just dump everything on Imoen. Most of these scrolls are cursed, and so was this ring. Look at all this free space, man. I should probably even hold on to this Wand of Missiles, because we already have one on Koran, and there is, at this point in the game, there is always something better to do with our characters. Oh, Kiranai also has a lot of that stuff. We also have this shield on Jaheira, and we have this ring on Senashira. Is that all we're... No. I was about to rest again. So those are the +1 Thaco gauntlets, one of which we can get from Lars, that ogre. Those are the ones actually, and of course the other one you can get from that harbor district, from the chest, and either give those back to Norley or just keep them to yourself. We don't even have anyone who can use gauntlets, because we have you know, those two Kensai ladies. So we don't even have anyone who would be able to... Oh, she's just able to identify that dagger +2 on her own. Okay, now that this is the shield, yeah, of the falling stars, and armor class +2 and an extra +5 versus missile attacks. So Jaheira is absolutely covered on that front. Some bracers of AC 7, doesn't matter, and I think now we are out. No spells. Let's rest some more. Like, after all this adventuring, basically we essentially take a day or two off. Yeah, this is another of these like +2 Thaco slings that are absolutely not worth it. It's way better in my opinion to have +1 Thaco and +1 damage on your sling. Yeah, the guard ring of protection +2. So that's going to go onto Senashira. I could probably distribute the loot a little bit more, like maybe give one +2 protection item to Jaheira maybe, and give the cloak to Yeslik or something like that. So all of our 3 frontliners would have higher armor class, but you know, they have helmets, they have the HP, they have like static armor bonuses, and Senashira, when she gets dispelled, for example, she has to rely on these temporary buffs, and she's also our main character. If she dies, it's game over. So yeah, I think it's important to keep her set when it comes to like the best stuff, the best loot. Yeah, so here's a nice Jester's Folly ring. That one we might be able to sell, but in order to sell the cursed scrolls, we probably would have to go to like High Hedge. I think Thalanter buys some cursed scrolls, but Halbazar and Sorcerer's Sundries doesn't. A Scroll of Clumsiness. And rest time.
You want some whiskey?
Yep.
Protection from undead. Those are really useful in Baldur's Gate 2, although I never use them because they're kind of like a cheat code, essentially, against undead. And the same can be said kind of about the protection from magic scrolls. Kind of a cheat code. Especially in vanilla Baldur's Gate. In SCS, mages have ways to dealing with your protection from magic. And also undead, prominent undead like liches actually can respond to you when you have protection from undead. They actually, SCS gives them some pretty reasonable behavior on how to counter that. The fact that they can't really see you when you're under the effect of protection from undead, but they can still, of course, do stuff. They can still act and like summon some stuff, use AoE spells and stuff like that. Usually summon companions that will be able to see you. Some summonable creatures that are not undead themselves. Alright, we're almost done with this identification session. We're going to get a lot of gold for selling all that stuff, and we're going to have our bags cleared out so that we can, you know, loot some goodies in the Iron Throne Tower. So this is a longbow +1. Pretty unique piece of loot. Yeah, this nightclub is also nightclub. Funny name, but it's a notable club, I guess, for the fact that it's not just a usual +1 club, but it gives you +2 at night, which doesn't matter at all. Like, why would you even bother with that? And of course, with from Cloakwood we got better stuff. Actually, let Yeslik keep all of the cloaks of protection. And are we finally done? I think we are. Yeah, so this is the Axe of Molitor, the Battle Axe +2 that Gretek had. And yeah, now we are done. Now we can go back to the usual setup when it comes to level 1 spells on MON. So we had, I think, 4 of these, 1 chromatic orb, 2 spooks, and 1 shield. I might go with like 2 shield, maybe, instead of that chromatic orb. That hasn't really been too useful. If someone has shield as a protection, I'm more likely to like use a wand against him at this point instead of a chromatic orb. Plus, depending on level, it has a different effect. And right now, for her, it's paralyze. And but at level 10 in Baldur's Gate 2, for a certain period of time, you have to kind of be careful, because if the victim is turned to stone, then, you know, if you kill them, then you lose the loot, or you would have to like unpetrify them and kill them normally. Then, yeah. So I guess it has a chance to paralyze. I might keep one of them there. Okay, and now let's just take a quick look at our priest's spells. I am not going to have this because for the fight I'm preparing for, you cannot bring summons over upstairs, and there's no time to like summon a well, probably I could use the time on Jaheira to summon that nymph, but I think it just will take way too much time to do all that. We definitely don't need Coal Lightning. Oh, that reminds me of one thing. I also, when talking about Yeslik, of course his advantages and disadvantages, I completely forgot to show you that his special ability, he actually has a Dispel Magic that he can cast as his special ability, not a spell. So he doesn't need to memorize that. Of course, you know, he's just level 6 in Cleric, so that... although I'd have to look into it, what kind of caster level this Dispel Magic takes. Whether it's his Cleric level, or does it have like a static level, I would have to check that out. Anyway, whoa, we're like way over time. I just want to quickly inspect... Oh yeah, this Animate Dead is not going to be useful. And he has Dispel Magic on him. If we might want to like dispel some detrimental effects on ourselves, I don't think they're going to... We're not going to get like held or anything, so remove paralysis is not going to be that great. Actually, I think I'm going to go with double Holy Smite. It's very quick to cast. When he's going to be in melee, he can just quickly throw a Holy Smite and have a chance to blind some of these guys. And this is going to actually be really useful in the fight, I think. Now, this selection, I'm going to give him 1 drop on Holy Might, so he can increase his physical stats. And this is good enough. And now when it comes to Jaheira, she is going to need some changes, I think, in these level 3 spells. You know, let's just have a different Dispel Magic source on her, maybe. It's not going to be too effective, but just in case, you know. I could have this Protection from Fire, but it doesn't really last too long. The arcane version of Protection from Fire is better in that regard. And yeah, this level 4 spell, like, it's not like she can do much else. She could maybe do Cloak of Fear, but she might as well use the Wand of Fear. And by the way, also, I was not insane in one of the first episodes when I said that it has like a +2 bonus, or the targets of this spell that comes from this wand have a +2 bonus to saving against it. And that's an undocumented bonus that is actually there. I looked into it, and because that was bugging me. Like, was that actually the case? Were I insane? Like, I clearly remembered something about that, and indeed, there is an undocumented +2 save that the targets of this spell receive. So it's a little bit worse than normal horror spell, the level 2 horror spell that a arcane caster can memorize. But still, it's a very good wand in a lot of situations, because it's of course instant to cast, and your priests, your druids and clerics can use that. So anyway, I think I might summon that nymph. She's a nice summon, but it's just that, it has a long casting time, and then once she's summoned, there's no immediate effect. Then the nymph has to start acting on her own, and only then you'll receive some effects. But I think that fight might be long enough, so I might do that. I don't know, man. Well, we'll see. It's not like that there's anything else that useful that I could do there. Maybe with the exception of Cloak of Fear, but meh. Whatever. Anyway, I think this is it for this episode. We're pretty much as prepared as we're going to be after resting once to investigate the Iron Throne Tower, which is going to happen in the next episode. So as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.